Hey, this is Healthful. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jade.
So grab a tea and let's get started. Periods. Period.
Why is it called a period?
Because it's like a period of time.
In a woman's life.
It's a period of time. Oh my God, I just made that connection.
Revelations.
Oh my God, I never thought about that before. I don't know what... Yeah, okay, wow. All right, periods, man. Like, let's get started.
Let's get stuck into it, the periods. Dispelling the stigma around periods.
Yeah. What crazy shit have you heard?
Oh my God, way too much. Yeah, like where do I start? Where do I start?
The beginning
From
of all
the beginning
time.
of all time.
So when a mummy cat and a daddy cat love each other.
That's a good start. And what have I heard? Just because I work with a lot of patients, right? And they talk a lot about like their periods and what's normal, what's not normal. Probably the biggest one I think that people just kind of go, yeah, that's normal, right? Pain.
Yeah.
I think period pain is something that is so normalized, which is, in my opinion, really wrong.
Yeah, right. It's not, I mean, is it supposed to be painful? I don't know.
It's definitely not supposed to be painful.
At all, like no pain, nothing.
Like maybe a bit of discomfort is kind of normal because your uterus is contracting and getting rid of blood.
Oh.
That's lovely.
I'm learning something too.
But it's so interesting because like even before I started learning more about like women's health and stuff like that, I always thought a period should just be a bleed. Like
Really?
that's all it should be. Like
Just expelling blood.
That's right. Like you have your monthly cycle if that's you. If you're not monthly, as long as you're regular, that's okay. But like you...
Oh yeah, that's actually interesting as well.
Yeah.
You say like as long as you're regular.
Yep. If your normal regular period is always the same, that's probably normal for you.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
Wow. Coming in with the truth bombs already.
Yeah. And this is the point of this podcast, to dispel all those things that women are just kind of led to believe they're normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, pain, like, or like just a normal period, it shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't be heavy. You know?
I mean, I feel like that's something that I was just like, yep, cool, all right, awesome. So I just have an ocean coming out of me. That's normal.
Like a
right?
murder scene.
Something's been murdered. Oh, no, wait, no, it's just the end of the month.
Like, that's fine.
I feel like even pulling back to like, not even just like the people that, the stigmas that people have about their own periods, but even with the stigmas around what period is. And like the moment anyone says they're on their period, people are like, oh, you poor thing.
Like, it's such a negative
like,
thing.
oh God, no, Aunt Doris is it? Wait, no, what aunt is it?
Auntie Flo.
Oh my God, Doris. Who's Doris?
You just want Doris to be a thing.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make Doris happen,
It's
Emma.
not gonna happen. But what else have you heard? Like other crap that is not kind of, I guess, normal about a period? Or what have you experienced that you were told was normal?
Yeah, like, I mean, like, necessarily, like, bloating? I don't know. Like, I feel like I definitely have noticed that. I don't know, for a long time I thought I was just fat. Turns out I was bloated. And, like, I never really paid much attention to what time of month it was, what relation it had, or anything like that. I was just like, oh, why am I bloated today? I didn't eat anything weird. Like, that's so strange. And then obviously going like along, you know, studying natural health and being a little bit more in tune, learning a bit more, you kind of start to notice those little things, right?
Yeah.
Like I know for a fact that my first few days of my period, yeah, I do look semi-pregnant, but I just tell people it's a boy. It's yours.
Even if you're a woman.
Gets them every time.
Yeah. Hey, anything's possible these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and I feel like that's true. Like, and it's like these little tiny things that people don't even notice. And like, I feel like in some ways, it almost like makes me feel better if I know that it's like, oh, you know, like it's all right. You haven't stuffed up your eating or something like that. You know, it's just that time of the month.
It's Auntie Flo's arrived.
Yeah, not Doris.
Yeah, Doris is like
who's Doris?
It's her alter ego.
Even Shark Week. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I
don't like that either.
Wait, why is that? Oh, is it because like the blood like gets sharks
and they get all nippy and like, I don't know.
Nippy.
Nip. You know, we get PMS PMS, right? Like we get all like aggro and sharky.
Oh, is that where it comes
I don't
from?
know.
I thought it was because when you go swimming and the blood like
Goes
just smells in the
everywhere.
ocean and like the sharks smell it and they come.
And they go for it. Oh, maybe if someone can like enlighten us on the origins of the term.
Can anyone like in the comments? There's no comments in
DM
DMs.
us.
Yeah,
Slide
DM
in our
us. Tell us
DMs.
why it's the shark thing. It's
Because
weird.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
That's very negative.
It is negative, and I don't like it.
Nah.
Okay, I have a fun fact for you. Did you know that women actually are supposed to like be their most intuitive on their periods?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did know that.
It's
I
pretty
don't
cool,
know why I thought I was like she wouldn't know.
No, do you know what? This is for the listeners, for those who did not know.
Yeah.
We are definitely more intuitive. We are more like, we're meant to be more like self-loving and community and all those things actually around our period.
It's like a very, very powerful thing.
It is, it
like,
should be.
I mean, back ye olde times. Ye olde,
Ye
old. Yesteryear.
Yesteryear.
You know, like it was seen as this, you know, very spiritual thing because, you know, it was in alignment with the moon.
Yep.
I've heard a couple of people say like, oh my God, I don't know, it's super weird, but I've noticed my period goes around the moon. And I'm like, funny you say that. It's supposed to. Good for you, man.
Yeah. That's like Earth cycle stuff. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And I mean, this isn't just woo-woo bullshit. This is actually like truth. You know, we are linked to that
The Earth.
cycle, just like waves of the ocean. Oh, that's
Ooh,
beautiful.
That
I
is very
love that.
poetic.
Ooh,
Write
romantic.
that down. Put that in a song.
Oh yeah, all right. Let me pull out my ukulele.
But also even like, you know, back in the day where like I've heard lots of people talk about when women in the tribe used to menstruate, they would all go off together and they would do like their own little commune thing and they'd like
cute.
celebrate their period, and then after it was done they would go back to the tribe and everything would be fine.
Yeah, and I think that was like a beautiful thing. And I don't think ever back then they were like, oh my God, like, ugh.
Ew, you have a period, yuck.
It's like disgusting. It was like a beautiful thing that all women did together
Yeah.
because like I think isn't that the reason too that, you know, they say that friends sync up because they
Yes.
spend a lot of time together. It's nothing to do with how much time you
No.
spend with them.
It's the cycles.
It's
the
because of the
energy.
moon, you
Yep,
know, the energy
everything.
and like that links it back,
Yep.
which I think is so
I think that's
cool.
I've experienced that before too. Like everyone's like syncing up with their period.
And it's like, oh my God, twinning.
Oh my God, we can all be crazy together. No, that's,
Actually,
see,
I have a
that's-
story.
That's not normal, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's not crazy. Like back in the day, so I was like 17 and my friends and I decided year 12, we had like the mid-year break. We're like, okay, cool, let's go on a week-long camping trip. We'll all go together. It'll be really, really fun. We'll be hang around the fire, around this lake. One by one, day after each other, we all got our periods. So we spent a week in the tent, all like...
I thought you were going to say, oh, we all spent the week in the
No.
tent with like amazing energy.
Kumbaya.
Yeah.
No, there was no kumbaya.
Oh.
There was just pain. And
Oh.
look, we thought it was normal.
Yeah, which is, as we know now, is not normal.
No, I honestly, even that for me, I'm just like, oh wait, I thought a certain amount of pain was kind of, you know.
Yeah, but it's not. Like we should just have a bleed for a couple of days and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, look, it's a little annoying, but yet again, that comes down to heaviness too, right? Because that was like the main reason that I went back on the pill back in the day. Well, skin and I had some really bad periods. My family has a history of being anemic. Overshare Emma, like, is that my name? So yeah, like I was, how old was I? I was 16 years old and I literally was having the first day of my period, I'd have a day off school. I'd have to sleep with a towel. I'd be like, you know, it was just insane. It was so much blood. It was not cool. Like I remember throwing up once from it. And I was like, this is not on. And then I remember like the quickest solution was, put her on the pill.
Yep.
That'll fix her problem.
That is such a common story.
It's just a band-aid, isn't
Yep.
it?
Yeah, and like what did it do for you like when you went on the pill? Did it help?
To a certain extent, it did for a while. Yeah, because, you know, my periods would be less heavy and, you know, like, but then I started noticing things the more time went on that I could accidentally forget to take my pill one day and my period would come straight on. Even if it had just been on 3 days ago, it would be like one day I forgot, brilliant, I'm bleeding again. And then I'd take it again and then it would leave and then it'd come back and then it was all over the shop. And then when I finally went off the pill, it took 3 or 4 months for my period to actually come back.
Which, you know, it's actually pretty normal timing for it to come back.
Oh, good for me.
Yeah, it's like, yay, so you fall within the normal. That's good.
I've also heard too that the period that you have on the pill
It's
isn't
not a
actually a period. What is it?
They call it a breakthrough bleed.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't fully understand the mechanics of it, but yeah, as I've heard through a lot of resources, it's not actually a period, even though people think it is.
Whoa.
Yeah, woke.
Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And what have you found, like, since coming off the pill?
Oh my God. Like, it's been a journey.
Tell us the tea.
Okay, so pretty much, I as I've mentioned before, I came off the pill. Oh my God, when was it? Was it the start of last year?
Yeah, it was a couple of months. Yeah, was it? Oh, gosh,
It was the
it
start
that
of
long
last
ago?
year. Yeah, it was the start of last year. I think it was around February last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I've been thinking about coming off the pill. I'm not going to lie. One of the main reasons I came off it is because it was $70 every 3 months.
That's expensive.
And I was like, I don't want to spend that anymore. Little did I know that, like, down the track, obviously, it was more for my own health.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, cool. I don't want to take this anymore. I've been taking it for 10 years and I
Yeah.
just don't know what it's doing to my body. It's not working anymore. You know, like, it wasn't really helping my skin. I was still having breakouts. You know, like, my period was still all over the shop. I was like, I just felt like, I'm like, well, I don't
What's
even
the
know.
point?
Why am I taking this?
Do you mind me asking, like, how soon after you had your first period that you got put on the pill?
Ooh, take me back in time. Okay, when did I get my period? I think I was probably about like 13. So like, I remember I struggled for a very long time before it was finally like, okay, now
You
you're going
need to do this.
Wait, no, how old was I? Yeah, no, I just turned 16 when I went on.
Okay, so you'd had a few years of
Few years of pain.
periods,
And like, that was like, I'd been in like, yep, it's really heavy. Yep, my skin's freaking out. Yep, I'm throwing up. Yep, I'm having to take off a day of school or work. I didn't work back then.
I mean, you might have.
Child slavery. And you know, like, I think then it was pretty much like, okay, cool. Well, everyone else does it, so you will go on the pill, and that will fix
Yeah.
everything.
Oh my God, that was something similar that like at my high school was the same thing. Like everybody was on the pill. Like, and it was, I remember one of my friends, she was like, oh my God, the pill is so amazing. I can just take it and skip my period when I want it to. And even then, not fully understanding like periods and how they worked like as like a 14-year-old, I was like, that's
Like, yeah, I don't want a period. Great.
no, I was like, that's not right. Like I already knew.
Wow, you were woke already.
No, I was like, how, like, where, at the time, I was like, where does it go? Like, you know, where does it
It runs away on holiday.
But yeah, like, even then, I was like, surely that's not right. And that's something that's kind of stuck with me, like, all the way through my life. And, like, I'll say I've never been on any kind of contraceptive before, but I've had my struggles with some period things.
Yeah,
like
it's like a gold star virgin. Like,
No.
I've never been on any contraception.
But I feel really proud of that because I'm like, well, I've never gone down that route because one, like I remember the girls at school would be like, oh shit, I forgot to take my sugar pill, which I didn't know what the hell that was, but obviously it was for regulating their cycle, blah blah blah, and I was just like, oh no, stuff that. Like I couldn't be bothered trying to remember to take a pill at the same time every single day just to keep that going. And it was
Do you mind me
medication.
asking, seeing as that you have never like been on any contraception, have you noticed any problems that you've had? Like you've had like times where you had it really heavy or noticed PMS or things like that?
Oh, definitely. Like, so my mum had really bad cycles and I almost feel like it's a little bit genetic, but you know, early on, like I think I got my first period when I was like 12 or 13. It was just before high school. Yeah. So I kind of felt kind of normal about that. And you know, the first couple of cycles that I had, you know, it was a bit erratic. I remember before I used to start tracking my period, it used to always feel like it was very irregular, like all over the shop in terms of I'd have long periods between a bleed. I'd never know when it was actually coming. Yeah. And heaviness was something that I remember like times where I decided not to change my pad, for example, and regretted it later on because, you know, you're covering your backside with your jumper and all that kind of stuff.
That was horrible thing that poor girls have to go through.
I know.
Because, like, I don't know, I remember that exact thing. I remember so many times being like, to my friends, every single time you stood up,
You
like,
check
can you
your
check me?
bum?
Can you check me?
Yeah.
It's like, bum check.
Exactly. It was like the worst thing that could happen to it.
The paranoia.
Yes, I know. And apart from that, though, I don't think, like, I don't have very many memories of early on having lots of pain. PMS, well, sometimes I get more aggro than other times, but I wouldn't.
Sometimes I'd hit my husband. It's fine.
You just have a black eye for a bit there, but no, like nothing.
It was cool.
Like he was fine with it. But yeah, nothing that I would deem as abnormal.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference between like mild PMS, like being a little bit short fuse, whatever, versus like full on crazy.
And there's so many different side effects and things that come with, maybe having a month that you do have more, like maybe your digestion was out or something like that.
Or
stress. Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge one.
So many influences on it.
Absolutely.
And like, who knows? Like maybe when I had all those changes, all those things that would otherwise be deemed as abnormal, like heaviness, like extra heaviness, or really bad mood swings or something like that, maybe that was due to something that was happening to me at that time. I don't know.
Exactly. And I think that's where in the olden days, that's where it was all about this holistic thing. It was very much like a whole person. It was, these women came together, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Then somewhere along the way, it was demonized.
It actually was, I think, not to bring, say, religion into this, but I think I heard that there was something, back in the day, someone said that the period was actually like devil
linked to Satan.
Yeah, linked to Satan. So like then women became very, very conservative about their periods.
Yeah.
And then nobody talked about it.
And like anyone who actually embraced that intuitive, beautiful connection to the earth, they were called a witch and burned at the stake.
That's right. That's history for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so sad because
it's very bad.
It's terrible. And all of these like women, it turned into this horrible thing that, almost was seen as shameful.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it's one of the most natural things that make us special.
And we should be like comfortable talking about it.
Oh my gosh. Like how many poor girls have I was really lucky. My mum was always really happy to chat about it. I remember the first time I found a tampon and I was like, what on earth
where do I stick that?
I had no idea what it was. I was like, is this a Vicks inhaler? And I remember I took it to my mum and she sat me down on the bed and was like, I'm going to tell you a story, Sonny Jim. Sit down. And I was petrified.
Yep.
It shouldn't be so scary though, it should be a good thing. I mean, what are the good things that can come from a period,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
so many benefits.
You know how you said that it's not normal that you shouldn't be bleeding? That's so true because I've heard even things like using menstrual cups or tampons aren't good because it's your body's natural way of cleansing. So if you're, you should have it get out of your body rather than just sitting up there.
Yeah. I know, yeah, that's an interesting concept. I don't really have much to comment on it, but it's an interesting theory. Yeah,
I mean, I think, who did I hear that from? Yeah, my sister. She was talking about how, it's really good because it is, your body's natural part of cleansing.
It's expelling.
You built up the lining and now you're getting rid of that.
That's right.
Moving out of the system, blah, 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 blah. Moving on to build it back up again.
Yeah, exactly. Ready for a baby.
Baby!
And if you don't want one, then you get a period.
Yeah, I don't want one.
Lots of periods for you then.
Yay! It's fine. I've only got another 30 years.
And that's the other thing too. I suppose it's almost a bit of a timeline. Maybe that's a bit of stigma on that. It's a bit of a timeline for women's fertility because you actually if you ovulate, that's the thing. You can ovulate and obviously get a period, and you can not ovulate and still get a period sometimes. So if you are actually as I said once, lay an egg, then kind of it is a timeline thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, there are different phases. I mean, we won't go into the nitty-gritty of the different phases, but there's so many different things as linked to those phases as well. Yep. I don't know about you, but when I'm just about to bleed, I am really, really fucking hungry.
Yes.
I have an insatiable hunger.
Yep.
I notice that my hair gets greasy. I get very the world is ending. Nothing matters. Existential. Yeah, I get very existential.
Oh, the doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it's these little things that I've never noticed before. But if you sit down and you actually start tracking, like you said, you can notice these tiny little things that seem totally unimportant. But then it's just oh my god, yeah, my hair is greasier right before it.
Might be that time of the month.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as in when I say medical, I meant a physiological reason for it.
Yes. Honestly, I don't know that yet. Stay tuned for me finishing my degree.
Estrogens and
estrogens and hormones and the body.
Back to I was thinking about the stigma about periods and how it became shameful once upon a time. I actually had a patient. She's the mum and she brings her 2 kids in, and she's got a daughter who started menstruating a year ago. And it was really interesting, like the mum's perspective of how she taught her daughter how to embrace it. She was like, "You're a woman now, darling." Like she just made it so.
Was she not one before?
You're like you just got your first period. Like you're a woman, and it was really nice. Like
an exciting thing. Maybe we should start bringing in a thing. Throw them a party.
Period party.
Woo!
I'm bleeding.
And instead of streamers, we just throw around tampons.
That could work, maybe.
I mean, look, it's not a terrible idea.
It could work.
I'm going to lock that away for later. I'm absolutely, if I have a daughter ever.
It's in the ideas pile.
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely throw them a period party. Like, whoop, 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 whoop.
Oh,
and you can, here, have a car. And then they will never attach that to negative. They'll be like, oh, it's positive. I've got a car.
Oh, dear.
At 12 years old.
Yeah, because I could totally drive that. Oh, man. Oh, what about, like, a lot of women talk to me about clots. They always whisper that too. They're like, I get lots of clots. I'm like, just say it.
Just say it out loud. It's fine, sweetheart.
Your body's telling you there's something going on there. Like, you shouldn't be getting clots either. You should just have a bleed.
What? Okay, well, that's concerning because I definitely do. It's fine. I'm working on it. Actually no. Since I've been like working through my journey of like regulating my period, which it is so much more regular now, I think I've come a long way. I don't notice it as much. It's not as bad. Good. It's only towards the end that I really notice anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting.
So what do you, if you're saying like you're making changes, I'm assuming that's dietary
influence? I mean, it mostly started with dietary, making sure, because obviously it's all connected, I have my own digestive issues, starting off by like making sure I'm eating right, that, you know, like my gastrointestinal lining is, everything is good and all groovy and gravy, then obviously trying to work on through those hormones. Obviously, like with the help of a naturopath, I obviously take supplements now, things like Chase Tree and things like that are all naturally hormone regulating. Yeah. It's specifically period hormones, so your estrogen, progesterone, all those kind of
lovely
little thingy mobbers
float around your body.
Yeah, they're like little pinballs. So I've been doing that, and it's taken a long time, you know, since over a year and a half. For me to get to this point, but you know, I'm tracking, I'm semi-regular. I know what to expect now. I know the signs, I know the symptoms, and I'm gravy.
And what's regular for you?
Wow, okay, a hard-hitting question, but all right.
How many days?
Okay, at the moment, it's about 6 days. So my first day is the worst, and it's like, well, not the worst, but it's the heaviest, and that's when like I have to be a little bit more mindful of making sure I always have stocks and everything like that. And you know, I notice that I'm a little bit more hungry, and I need to obviously fuel my body a little bit more because it's going through some pretty hectic stuff. And then after that, it just slowly drops off, and then by the 6th day, it's barely anything.
Is that like the traditional 28-day cycle thing?
No, God no. My cycle I thought was way too frequent, but it turns out it's been about like it comes in 24 days.
Terrible, yeah.
But I thought, oh my God, no, it has to be 28.
28.
I'm ruined.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I'm the other end.
Really?
Yeah, I've always had a longer cycle. So everyone's gonna be like, shut up, Jade. No, but like I used to get really worried about it because I thought 28 days.
I'm pregnant.
Like I was the opposite fear. I was like, oh my God, that's really not normal. Like it needs to be 28 days. And like I'm talking more like 32 is my regular.
Oh wow.
Like 32
just
days.
over a month.
Yeah. And like I have noticed in times of where I've been extremely stressed, it can go up to like 40. I think the longest cycle I had was like 42 days.
Oh my gosh.
And I really thought I was pregnant.
Well, I guess I'm having a baby.
Like, okay, I'm just like sealing my fate here now. Of course, that's not a bad thing. Like, you know, I just, of course, didn't want that to happen, but you know, I was seriously concerned that my cycle was so long at some.
Did you notice that was like a very stressed time of your life too? Yeah. Interesting. See, it's so linked.
So linked. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I've ever noticed much of a difference with, say, food intake. So I'm pretty consistent across the board. Like I might have like I've sort of talked about to a lot of people that on the weekends, for example, I'll kind of let loose and do what I want. But otherwise, in the grand scheme of things, I've always been pretty consistent with diet. So I don't think I have too much of an influence there. But stress definitely for me.
Huge part.
Yeah.
See, I think that's the problems with my digestive system that does make mine very linked to my digestion. Like if I have lapsed and I've had a really bad month, it's definitely affected my period. Yeah, I know. It's things you learn, and whatever you have in your own body could be completely normal.
Yeah.
But also, don't be afraid to ask people.
Yeah, if it is actually normal, and someone who actually knows what they're talking about. Because, like, I'm just thinking of, like, pain.
Yeah.
Everybody, like we said before, everybody normalizes. It's normal to get pain in your period, but we don't want it to be pain, like debilitating pain where you
where you're crippled on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Or throwing up.
I've
heard so many people. I've thrown up before from it.
There you go. So that's not normal.
No.
But, like, you know, pain, the origins of pain, I think it'd be useful for people to know why it can happen. Like, for example, we said before about your little uterus just squeezing away and trying to get rid of some blood, right? So that's, like, you think about when your muscles are contracting. Like, you don't normally feel that, but if you have to work that a little bit harder, or there's something else, like another strain on your body, you'll feel that contraction, right?
Oh
but
my God.
not to the point where it's, like, debilitating, right? Like, when something happens at the gym,
if you're doing a bicep curl
and it's like screaming at you, you're not going to just fight through that in case snaps off, right?
Mind blown.
Right? So the pain itself can obviously come from the organ, which if it's really, like, cramping so badly, there's probably something not quite right there for whatever reason. I'm not going to go into those details, but
consult a healthcare
consult somebody. Yeah, exactly. And then back pain, headaches. Like, I find this really interesting as a chiropractor because, like, from an anatomical perspective, you can explain a lot of period pain or linked with back pain and headaches with just the simple, like, physiology and anatomy. So, like, you know, when you're getting your period, your uterus is actually swelling because it's growing. It's growing a lining, a lovely bed for a future baby. And so what that might do,
pillow and sheets.
It's a beautiful red pillow. And like what that will do, because I mean, our pelvis is kind of small-ish, right? So when that organ's, like, swelling more, it's got heaps of other things around it, like the bowel and the bladder and everything, and your tailbone is right behind it.
Right.
And so, like, when it's swelling, it's putting pressure
on
your tailbone. And there's actually a big tissue that I talk to a lot of my patients about that surrounds your entire nervous system. It's called the dura mater.
Yeah.
So it's like that thick kind of fibrous thing that covers the brain, the spinal cord, some of those exiting spinal nerves, and it has really strong attachments at that sacrum and then up around your C2 vertebra, which is usually where people will complain about getting a lot of headaches.
And C2 is in the cervical spine, which is, you know, mostly your neck.
Exactly, yeah, right at the top of your neck. And so, like, obviously when you're looking at the mechanics of that, you can see why lower back pain might happen.
It's linked.
Yeah. So if say your sacrum, maybe your sacrum's more the problem. So if you actually get that sorted, get it more mobile, then that uterus swelling is not going to put pressure on that organ, on that joint. And then because of those strong attachments of that dura mater being at your sacrum and at that C2, if your sacrum's, like, struggling and it's pulling down there, it's going to pull up the top too, and it's going to give you a headache. How cool is that? Like, it's not cool to experience it, but it's kind of cool, hey?
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah, so it's just, like, understanding that your headaches could be due to something physical and not just your hormones.
Yeah, no, that's really true.
I think it's normal when it's not.
No, and, like, let's not, like, use normal too much. I think, like, don't disregard someone's feelings. If they're like, I'm in pain, be like, oh, it's normal.
It's not, like, that bad.
Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, so true. So true. And I think also educating our guys about periods.
Yeah.
Because they, like, honestly, like, I don't want to be sexist, but, like, I know a lot of guys who really don't understand much about how it works and, like, how, like,
they see it themselves as gross.
Yeah, or they're like, oh, she's on Shark Week, so I'm not going to go near her.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, just understanding what she's going through. Mm-hmm. And also, by the way, guys, I know a lot of you probably think that periods just stop, like the bleed just stops. It doesn't. I've had a lot of people say, oh, doesn't it just stop? And I'm
what
like,
do you mean?
Like, as in, like, the bleed, it just stops. I'm like, no, it tapers
fades off.
Yeah.
It's like a slow fade out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like disappearing into the darkness.
Yeah, like it just retreats slowly.
It's like all edgy. Like
yeah. Yeah.
So mysterious.
Exactly. So just FYI, it doesn't stop completely.
Yeah, you stopped yet?
Yeah. You have your period yet? Yeah. So guys, it doesn't work that way. Like, you know, respect the time, respect the cycles.
Respect the magic that is the period.
Yeah, that's right. Because, like, so I know somebody once said about a period that every day of a woman's cycle, which is pretty much like all the time, every day is different for her.
Oh God, yeah.
That's kind of cool, isn't it?
Every day is different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because like where her body's functional state is at every point, every day of her cycle is different.
It's true. It's very, very true.
So that's pretty cool.
That was good. I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like I actually learned so much.
I hope our listeners did too. Like, I sort of have these talks all the time with my patients. I get really like excited about, I'm like, this is why you might get back pain, and this is what's happening when you're like, if your uterus is, you know, anteverted, like it's too forwards, and you're getting lots of cramping and this extra weird bleed and blah blah blah. So it's just really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any questions at all, I highly recommend you consult your healthcare practitioner, or I mean, you can message us if you like. We'll try our best.
Yeah, we'll do our best, guys. But drop us any DMs through our socials. So we've got our podcast at
the Healthful Podcastgals.
Yeah,
Is that
sorry.
right?
We still get confused because this other person stole our actual title, the Healthful Podcast.
Yeah.
Whoever that user is, can you please get off so we can maybe use that?
We need it back.
We need it back, thanks. Because we're now the Healthful Podcast Gals.
Yeah.
So on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll catch you there. Why do I feel like my throat is dying? Hello.